Good evening, everyone. My name is JEG Taktakon, and this is my video presentation for Major Activity 5.1 Expense Logger. The program allows the user to record, view, and analyze their expenses using file handling with simple variables. To understand the program, let us go through the libraries first. stdio.h is used for the standard input and output, and string.h is to allow file handling operations and string comparisons. As you can see, there are lines of code here. The purpose is to declare the five features of the program, which is to add expense, view all records, getting totals by date, creating a category report, and finally editing the specific amount. And on to the main function. Chart choice. This is where the user's choices are stored. I forgot to add a comment for the five lines of code. These are basically the function declaration. So in this line of code, this is a infinite loop, so that to keep it showing the menu until the users have decided to the option to quit. Here in this line, this prints out the menu. Oops. Now in this line, the scanf, it reads the choices made by the users. Now in this line of code, the F choice is based on the user's input. The program calls the corresponding function based on the user's choices. And if the users chose the option Q, the program will print out the a goodbye message and breaks the loop. And if the choices is not present or invalid, the program will notify the user with a message. So the function of this line of code is to be calls corresponding function. Oops, based on choices. close. So in the void add expense function, its purpose is to add a new expense entry. So in this line of code here, let's see, it opens the necessary file that is used by the program and opens it in append mode. So let's move here. So if the file does not exist or cannot be opened, the program will print out a error message. So in this line of code, this is where this is where the program gets the date, category, and amount by the users. Oops. Finally, here, its purpose is to write the data to the file and close the file. So, in the void view expense function, its purpose is to display all expenses by the user and the total amount. So, here, this line, it opens the file and in read mode. Opens the file in read mode. And here, this line, if the file cannot be found, it will make the program print out an error message, go file empty or missing. So in this line of code here, The program prepares variables to hold the file data and initialize to zero. So in this line, it reads each line, prints it in a formatted columns, and keeps it running a total. So in this line of code, it reads each line in a formatted columns and keeps a running total. Now finally, in the end of oop, in the end of the void view expense, the last line here shows the total expenses and closes the file. So, in the void total by day function, it calculates the total expenses for a specific date. So the purpose is to basically checks the total amount spent on that specific date or in the total of money spent on the present day. So here in this line of code, this is where the program gets the date from the user. So in this line of code here, wait, forgot. Forgot to put a comment. So, so in this line of code, for every time a matching date, the program adds the amount to the total f close f code line of code. So just so basically, it loops through the file and some matching dates. Away from that. So this final line of code in the void total by day, it displays the result and closes the file. So in the void report category function, its main purpose is to generate a report grouped by a column. So, in this line of code here, it opens it opens the input file and creates the output file for the report. So on to the next line of code, right here. The program uses arrays to store up to 50 categories and their total amounts. So in the charcats, it is the array of categories name. In the float sums, array of corresponding totals. Let's move on to the next line of code, which is here, the highlighted one. In this line of code, it checks if a category already exists. If yes, the program adds its sum. If not, the program will add it to a new category. So to the last line of code for the void report category, the main purpose of this line of code is to write a category totals to a new file and informs the user. I'm just gonna put a comment here. Writes report to the file. So let's move on to the last function of the program, which is the void edit amount function. Its main purpose is to edit the amount of a specific expense. So in this line of code here, it opens the expense.txt and temp.txt in read mode and write mode. This edits the amount of a specific entry by creating a temporary file. temporary temporary file to storage changes. Now let's move on to the next line of code right here. This line of code prepares variables to search and update a record. Its main function is to prepare variables updates. So let's move on to the next line of code right here. Its main purpose is to get details for the record to update. Now let's move on into this line of code here. In the while line of code, it processes each line. If the match is not found, up if match is found, the program will update the amount. Right above here. So in the fprintf, its main purpose is to copy the original date. Excuse me. Now let's move on to the next line right here. This line of code, this line of code here, the four lines, it copies all the data to the temporary file, updating only the matching record. Then it replaces the old file if the old file is found. Then after that, there are two outcomes. If the file is found, the system or the program will print out amount updated. If not, it will print out a not found. So now that we are now done explaining the code, let's start with a sample output for the code.
1 liter. Oo, isa lang guys. 1,000 pila ni kang ipin. Ay, di ko maka-itigor. Ay, di ko maka-
That is all, and goodbye.